2, 1.
Howdy, neighbors!
Welcome to the Fencebar.
I'm neighbor Sharif. This is neighbor Sean.
Hey, that's me, and here we come to you live on tape from the beautiful lower Hudson Valley.
We're not wearing any jackets.
Just the best, baby. Just the best. And speaking of vest, it's my new Russian River Brewing Company vest.
You brought back a lot of goodies from Russian River.
Yeah, last week, as if you remember, both of us were going to some pretty good beer meccas, and I went to Santa Rosa and brought back some stuff from Russian River, which we'll be drinking today. Thank you, Mike Benz.
Thank you, Mike Benz.
He's the sales director at Russian River and former Westchester. He's a Westchester native. So,
yes,
yeah.
It all ties in.
It all comes back to
It's all magic. I went to Vermont. I went to the local beer mart and just grabbed everything I could. But the problem is we drank most of it.
As you should.
And then also, I think there's an opportunity here for a Fencebar tip.
Don't let your beer freeze.
Don't let your beer freeze in Vermont, which is what happened. And some of the beer tastes a little bit funky, but it's still pretty delicious.
Yeah, I mean, it's anytime you freeze anything, it's going to change the flavor. You know? That's we have our new take on an old can. Or an old take on a new can?
I guess so. Well, we got East Coast, West Coast.
That's right.
We're going to see how they taste.
I like it.
Cool, man. So what the hell are we doing out here at the fence again, huh?
Well, we keep finding ourselves here, Sharif.
It's just what happens.
Basically, this fence that was brought here to separate us, we found out if you put a bar on top of it, it brings everybody together.
It brings everybody. Everybody comes, everybody drinks beer, everybody has a good time. We've got a bunch of neighbors here. We've got Doug from Tool Nut. We've got Campbell Meats from Matt Campbell.
Campbell Meat from Matt Campbell.
Yes.
That's how you
should be known. We've got hopefully a few more neighbors coming.
Yeah, we might have a Hog Boy. Hog Boy might be coming from Stone Barns.
Yeah, he made the sauce. He made sausages with Matt. Matt helped him with the sausages and.
Incredible.
Yeah. So we like sausages, so we brought over the people who make sausages.
You'll see a lot of beer and a lot of sausages on Fencebar.
Always.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what segments do we have today? We got
our 5 standard segments. We got our Meet the Neighbor. Last week we met Intoxicate. Awesome.
Or Intoxicatey, or Instagram
or Communicate.
Or Communicatey, or whatever. Sean's not very good with names.
Yeah, terrible with names. I think her name was Deborah.
It's Intoxicate with a K.
Yeah.
And you can find her at Communicate with a K. She's an awesome
Not the Communicate, the K's in the middle, not the C at the beginning. I found that out.
Check our Instagram and you could find her. If you're looking for a graphic designer or Westchester food and drink tips.
Exactly. Tips, man.
Tips.
Beer report.
Just the tip.
Just the tip. Just the tips. Multiple tips.
That sounds like a name for a B-side album. You know?
Yes. Just the tips. Just the tips. Make sure it's plural.
All right.
Multiple tips.
So we're gonna meet the neighbor Matt. He's gonna come on. He's gonna dazzle us with his information about what he thinks about living and working in Westchester and making sausage. Then we're gonna do a little beer brains.
Beer brains is when you educate me on beer, and that's pretty much how it all started. We come out here, hang out, and I don't know anything about beer, so you start telling me this is how this happens, and this is how the magic happens.
Right, and so we started off Fencebar learning about the basic types of beer, which is really the difference. It comes down to yeast, whether it's a top or
We're
bottom.
talking about yeast today, man.
Well, you love yeast.
I love yeast.
I mean, I understand because yeast is awesome.
Yeast is just like the key.
It's alive.
It's everywhere, man.
And it does the.
Yeah.
You know, it farts out the CO2 and the alcohol. Who doesn't love that?
It does. And then Fence Life, we might actually get to lighting a fire.
Guys, 4 episodes in, you're going to actually see everything come together.
If you're following us on Instagram, you can see the upgrades. We've got a new fire pit. We've got gravel. Bedford Stone delivered the gravel in like an hour's notice.
It's unbelievable.
Thank you, Bedford.
These guys have been working hard. The Hassan family has been killing it out here.
Fizz was out here helping with the fire pit. It was a family effort. Neighbor Mike, we got no help from you. You're looking real good out there.
You do. You look trim.
Yeah.
So then after that, we're going to do, after Fence Life, we're going to do the beer report.
Beer report. Beer report is where we get our tips about what's going on this weekend.
And we have a special guest on this week's beer report is Doug, the Tool Boy. No, he's a Tool Nut. It's Tool Nut.
He's a Tool Nut.
He's a Tool Boy.
And Doug
always
is...
the Tool Boys for me.
Doug's here as a neighbor. He's not on official work duty tonight, but Doug is a beer head, and he goes to can releases. So he's going to tell us about some can releases.
Big one's going up in the Hudson Valley this weekend. That should not be missed.
Awesome.
And then we go rate our beers, on our Fencebar here.
Every episode ends with the ranking.
Right, but the ranking changes throughout the night because after we finish filming this, It's not like we just turn the lights off and go back inside and drink some hot cocoa.
We hang out.
We got more beers to drink.
Yeah. So it's a fluid situation.
Sometimes you add on to them a little bit more later into the night. And I just looking at the beers in front of us, I think that there's no way we can open all of these right now.
Yeah.
But speaking of which, I want to open up a Ron Mexico.
Let's open it.
Because
Russian River.
I think we need to bring in our man from Dobbs Ferry.
Let's bring in our first guest.
Matt Campbell.
Matt Campbell.
Now, Matt, I told you before, you get 2 glasses at Fencebar. You get your sidecar, your little guy, and then you get your dad or mom light pint glass. So this is going to be a dad light, since you are a
big glass.
Big glass. So that way, this is the beer that you're going to drink the most of. It's 4.5%. It's an ale, hoppy ale from Russian River. And they're using a special yeast varietal, or not yeast. Sorry, we're doing yeast in the
you got yeast on your.
You got yeast on my mind, not just in my beard. Hey. But they're using a hop varietal called Ron Mexico that you can only get at homebrew shops and at Russian River Brewing Company. Yes, sir.
That's really good. That's different. Yeah. And there is a little controversy with Ron Mexico, the name.
It's not named after Michael Vick's pseudonym.
It is weird because that is
happens to be when Mike
5 years ago he was using that to check into hotels,
which sucks.
It's
a great name.
So, but we don't really like.
We don't really like Michael Vick.
Yeah. Anyway, but the beer is delicious.
God, that is lovely, refreshing, bright.
Really good. So
not too hoppy, balance. Tropical notes, stone fruit. Oh my God,
it's great.
It's great.
So Matt, we brought you on and Meet the Neighbors. Meet the Neighbors is basically when we started hanging out here, we had people coming over, just our neighbors basically from around the neighborhood, and they all obviously do awesome things in Westchester and beyond. And we just started talking about all the things that they do, and
learning from them, like what do they like about Westchester?
What do they like about Westchester?
What and that's do here. And
that's what we wanted to bring you on for. So. Tell us where you're from originally, and how did you end up opening a butcher shop in Westchester?
Oh, it's a long road. First, it should not be Meet the Neighbor. I want it to be MEAT.
For this segment,
it is definitely
awesome. We got it.
Yeah. Originally, I'm from Delaware. I moved up to the city. Not the city of White Plains where I live now, but the city of New York City.
That's it.
In 2005, started working in a lot of restaurants. Dabbled in butcher shops, found out that's what I really liked.
You like cutting up the meat?
I like
you got a good
getting up early, going to bed early, not the opposite. So I really got into butchering. Ended up getting sucked back into restaurants every once in a while for a little money and no fame. But this is what I really wanted to do. In a restaurant, I met my wife, and that's awesome. We decided it's time to grow up a little bit, and we moved up here, which I think is probably a lot of.
That's what we did.
A lot of people are doing it.
Yeah, we did that.
And, that's why I did it. So I had to get the hell out of Brooklyn because I don't think I'd still be alive.
Yeah, we're grown up now.
Yeah. Hey, here's to moving to.
This doesn't feel good, but I like it.
Well, this is what happens when you grow up.
Yeah,
you never grow up.
You go back down again.
You just find a way to put a bar in your backyard and invite your friends over so you don't have to drink and drive.
Exactly.
Which you should never do, people. Never.
That's great. You're taking an Uber home tonight.
Das Uber.
Yep.
Yes.
Das Uber.
It's a Good Friday tomorrow,
Everyone's if you call Lyft and you tell them the Fencebar sent you, they will not know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So don't do that.
So the number one question that our followers from around the world want to know is, do you have to look up a bull's ass to get a good view of a T-bone, or should you just take your butcher's word for it?
We got some headlamps if it's the former.
I wish I could remember some more Tommy Boy quotes, but I don't.
Yeah. So you think we should go see the butcher?
Just mangle chicken. I rarely see the animals while they're still moving. I mean, I visited all my farms and I know the farmers, and we go to visit them a lot, but I'm trusting them to produce a great product.
Yeah. And when you're talking about them, are you talking about like farmers? You're going to the farmers, you're actually meeting the farmers, you're talking about the animals, and that's where you source your meat?
Exactly. So these are all small farmers. So it's usually their family, maybe a few extra employees, but they're small operations.
Got it.
We're talking less than a dozen employees.
So is that the big difference between forgive me, I go to Stop and Shop sometimes.
What is the difference? What is the difference?
The difference where they're sourcing their product and what you're doing, and even Whole Foods in the middle.
That's a good way to frame it. Stop and Shop is kind of a big gray abyss. We don't know where it's coming from. It could be outside the country. It could be China, South America. We don't know. Right. Whole Foods is a little more responsible, but there's still a lot of middlemen. They're going from a farmer, probably a larger scale farmer, but they may be organic, which is great. And then they're going through different distributors and wholesalers to start you know, like the beer industry.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're
but the way I look at it is there's really three parts of the transaction. It's I know the farmer, the animal comes directly to my shop, and then I sell to
That's amazing.
you guys.
Yeah.
And that's it. So really, I look at myself as a very glorified middleman.
Yeah.
I can
broker of the meats.
Broker of the meats. I find good farmers.
Yeah.
I don't screw it up in the process, and I get it to you. And that's really what I think everybody should have is a knowledge of where their food comes from.
It's great too because like I don't know all of the parts of a pig, right? But I do like what I've eaten out, right? So to be able to go to a butcher and say, but to be able to say, hey, you know, Matt, like I really like the cheek of a pig. Yes. When do I need to come in to get that, you know, for you to cut that for me?
Exactly. So that's a conversation we have with a lot of our customers. Is it almost starts with an anatomy lesson because people are used to going into the Stu Leonard's or something, and there's a wall of filet mignon. And on a cow,
there's only one filet mignon, right?
Two.
There's two. Okay.
There's two, but if you have an animal that comes into our shop at a hanging weight, which means like dressed, like deceased and gutted and skinned and all that good stuff, they're right around 800 pounds. Yeah. Which means they're probably live or upwards of 1,000 pounds on the hoof. Those two filet mignons that we take out of that 800-pound, formerly 1,000-pound animal, maybe are about 7 or 8 pounds.
Yeah.
So you're looking at 1% of the animal.
Yeah.
And
so what do you do with the rest of the meat? You know.
Exactly, and that's the unfortunate part, especially in this country. We eat a lot of hamburgers, so a lot of that animal ends up in the grinder, which is unfortunate. And you go to other countries, especially South America, you'd probably be hard to find a grinder there.
Yeah.
Honestly, they're cooking the entire animal whole sometimes.
I had an amazing time in Argentina, but I also had like a really eye-opening experience where we were out to dinner just having amazing cuts of beef, and everything's over, you know, live fire, charcoal. And you know, we just started talking to people, and you know, someone asked us. We were raving about the food, and someone asked us, "What's the food like in New York? You know, what's like
where you go.
What's trending right now?" And I said, "Oh, you know, this was a few years ago." I said, "Oh, like the really big thing is farm to table." And they said, "Farm to table? Well, where the hell else would you get your meat from?" And I looked at them and said, "I have no idea where the hell we get our meats from." So it was
That's why you have to go to your local butcher, because not only does he know where his meat came from, but you know where he can tell you where that part of the meat is on the bone.
Are most of the farmers from the New York and Hudson Valley area?
Yeah, I get everything from New York.
Yep.
So most of them are from the lower Hudson Valley. The farthest I go is right now for beef, which is in the Finger Lakes.
That's awesome.
But nothing farther than that.
In all New York?
Yes.
Yep. Awesome. Great. So there's one thing that, as a butcher and as a meat expert, if we could give our viewers and us one tip from a butcher when you are going to select meat, is there anything that you would
want that you should ask you, like where I'm going to get the best?
Is ask. I mean, go to a place that can answer your questions.
Right.
A lot of times in a larger market, it's a kid in high school just trying to make a buck, and that's fine. But he's not going to be able to answer your questions. So, and be honest. Don't go in there and try to impress me with what you know or don't know or what you saw on the Food Network or something like that. Just tell me what you like, and maybe I'll have it, and maybe I won't, and I'll try to find you something else, or maybe I'll try to expand your horizons. Like it's my wife is a sommelier, and I kind of in a similar way. You talk to people.
Yeah.
You figure out what they like, and
you give them what they like.
You can give them what they want, you give them what they ask for, or you can. How far can I push you off your comfort zone?
If you walk into a butcher, chances are you should be at least of the mindset
of
experiencing something.
Yeah, most of our customers are great, and like after it, there's a little bit of a trust game the first time they come in, and it's like, I want a pound of ground beef and I want chicken, and
that's
a good day. And then they come in and
they get a little
ground beef.
more
and then you know, give them about 3 or 4 visits, and we're giving them beef tongue, and it's awesome.
That's great. That's so awesome. So we end every segment with 3 questions for our neighbors.
That's tough. Long walks on beach.
I love it. So first question is, what beer do you have in your fridge right now?
Right now, not what you want to be.
No. That's right now I had some friends over on Sunday, so I have a couple Hop Commanders from Captain Lawrence.
Yes.
I'm admittedly a sucker for the 12 variety packs, so I have a lot of straggling Sarnacs. And I have a couple Lagunitas IPAs.
All right.
And 3 Becks that have been there for 4 months, because that's what my wife drinks.
That's great. She doesn't drink, so she does not drink. And wait, should we cut here?
No.
Oh,
Continue.
Because you're like,
this is what it's like when it's live.
I always do that.
Oh, sorry. There was like a lot of hand waving. I wasn't sure. Question number 2.
Yes.
When you're picking up beer for a party, so let's say you're having a party, what do you pick up?
I want to go
Where
to
do
your
you
party
go?
anyways. I bet you barbecue something sweet.
I bet your thing is more on the meat side, but you still got to pick up a little beer, right?
That's right. Yeah, usually, if anybody comes to my house, it's probably for the food. It's not for the beer. Which is probably the opposite of what goes on here.
Yep.
Again, my guilty pleasure of the mixed 12-pack.
That's great. Variety.
So you're just gonna. But that's what I do too, though. I want to have a wide variety because not everybody likes the same.
Everybody gets something.
And
they
that's
like.
why I do it, because I am completely into IPAs. I usually don't venture off that path, and I've in my old age gotten cranky, and I force people to do that. So I'll no longer get like the 6 or a Bud Light.
Yeah.
I will just buy a bunch of aggressively bitter IPAs.
I love it.
And make people adapt.
That's awesome.
You're here.
Force that.
That's awesome.
And question number 3: what is your most definitive memory with beer?
Yeah.
Whatever you can think of, your first sip, your high school, your college.
I don't think they're going to be highbrow, but
I'll
have to remember them.
Highbrow, lowbrow, as long as you have a brow.
All right, he's got 2.
Oh, I got
Or the brow of beer.
Probably 2, I would say. One was, only in retrospect, was it cool? Because I grew up in Delaware, as I said, and when I was a youngster, my dad would take me down to Rehoboth Beach, and he would take me to the Dogfish Head original brew pub, and I went there because I like pizza. And I had no idea. My dad liked beer. And at some point, I had like a sip of probably one of the first Dogfish Head beers and didn't give a shit about it. But in retrospect, that's a very cool story.
Yeah,
I ate a lot of pizza and played pinball.
Yep.
And then the slightly more grown up is when I just turned 21 and I went to spring break in Daytona Beach.
Yeah.
That was still cool when I was 21.
Yeah.
MTV was still there.
It's still cool.
And my friend and I packed up my S10 pickup with a bunch of 30 packs of Coors Light and Busch Light, and we drove all the way down, which we learned the opposite lesson of you, is that if you drive down in the summer in Florida,
the heat.
bad beer gets even worse.
Tip number 3.
That is a definite true. Like, you do not want to boil anything.
That's fantastic, dude. I love
Word
it.
of warning.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for coming to Meet the Neighbors.
Yeah.
We need to tell our fans and our followers where they could come to Campbell
So
Meats.
look into the camera.
Into the bright light. Campbell Meats, we're in Dobbs Ferry at 3 Cedar Street. We're open every day but Monday. Come in, ask us questions, give us a call, follow us on the Instagram books.
How late are you open during the weekdays?
We are open from 11 to 6, and then once it actually gets warm outside, we'll be open until 7 o'clock.
Matt, I also want to add that it's not just about like the ribeyes and the fillets and that.
Yes.
You also do bacon lard.
Oh yeah.
We
didn't get to
snacks.
eat.
Yeah,
That's right.
snacks.
We'll
A lot
meet
of
it later.
snacks.
Right.
Yep. Do you want to tell people what other things you have besides the steaks and the chops and things?
Yes, of course. I'll do the shortened version. But since we get in the whole animal, which these guys mentioned, it's real easy to sell ribeyes. It's easy to sell different steaks, pork chops, pork butts, and things like that. But we use the whole thing. So we're going to use all the fat that's on the animal. We use the organ meats, which is
base cheese.
Exactly. So this is using livers, kidneys, hearts, all kinds of good stuff. So that's kind of what I really take pride in, is kind of making all those scary parts taste really, really good.
Cool.
Ribeyes are easy.
Awesome.
But still buy ribeyes.
That was awesome.
This is great, dude.
All right, that was really
We'll
great.
have you back up because we're going to do a rating at the end of the show.
We need you to help us rate
So
beers.
we'll help you close this.
All right.
thing.
I go this and this. Those are my 2 ratings.
Yes,
That's
take
great.
the rest of that.
That's
I
your
will.
next dad light.
Yep.
My parting gift.
And stay warm by the fire.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Matt. That was a good one, man.
Beer brains.
So Beer Brains is basically, I've been getting Beer Brains for the last 3 years, personal Beer Brains, where you help me better understand beer and what I'm drinking. And not just me. You share the knowledge.
Why don't we open it up? I mean, I don't know everything. And in fact, I often say things that are not true just to test all you beer geeks out there.
Yeah.
You zymologists.
We've got
Zimmergy.
Dude Abides watches
fact checks.
closely. We've got a few other
I love it.
followers. If you do catch one of Sean's mistakes, we'll send
Please
you a
put it on
T-shirt or
Instagram.
something.
Yeah. Or
Let
a
us know.
Campbell's Meat beer koozie.
Yeah.
Right? Look at that.
Cool, dude. So what are we talking about today?
Today, well, you love yeast.
I know.
You freaking can't stop thinking about it.
Well, when we started, we started off Beer Brains with talking about the two kinds of beers. Every beer is either an ale,
or
which ferments from the top,
fermenting,
or is a lager, which ferments from the bottom, right?
Yep.
So that's every beer is one of those two things.
Correct.
And then we talked about the ingredients. So there was a little bit of confusion with the ingredients. You said there were 4 ingredients, but then you also mentioned that in Germany they only recognize 3.
Wow.
So naturally,
he was paying attention. Now, what is that German purity law of 1516
it's
called?
the oldest health rule or health law of all time, written, right?
I would think so.
And it's the Reinheitsgebot.
The Reinheitsgebot, yes.
Of 1516.
That's right.
And you mentioned that they started off basically having only 3 ingredients.
Because they didn't know what yeast was. It hadn't been discovered or identified yet. That wouldn't happen until Louis Pasteur did it in the 19th century, was it 1854, I believe?
So how'd they brew the beer without the yeast is what I don't
God
understand.
is good, Shuri.
God is so good.
God is the best. So that's actually
God
was the
so
term they called a lot of monasteries as well as breweries, that it was God is good, was what the yeast was, because it was the magic that created
it was a divine power.
The bread or the beer, which sustained life, because you needed to have potable liquid, which is the beer, and you had to eat something, which is the bread.
And so they had no idea what it actually was.
No.
They would just put bread out or beer out and hope that the gods would bless them with...
If God is good.
And so some places had better yeast and better beer because they just had...
Well, because yeast is going to hang around in the environment, right?
Yep.
And it's going to form its own identity. So a lot of places, like in Germany, if you go to like Cologne, they make a delicious lager-style ale called Kolsch, which is a clear, it's brewed like a lager, but it's an ale, and it's because their yeast that they had was a top-fermenting yeast, and that's sort of just became its thing. So that's what Cologne was known for.
Cool. So then, when did they actually discover that it was the yeast that was making all the magic happen? Because
it really was. It was after Louis Pasteur in the 1906, believe it or not. The Carlsberg family are sort of some of the first molecular scientists.
Yep. So they harvested the yeast.
They figured out how to be able to keep the same yeast, protect it, and then really started that journey in science.
And how do you protect the yeast now? Like, what are some of these breweries? How do they use their yeast? Where are they getting their yeast from? Is it happening naturally, or are they buying it?
Freezer. Well, you can buy it from a yeast bank. Like White Labs, and you're going to keep it at a certain temperature so that it's dormant.
Yep. And
then you're going to take a little bit of it, and you're going to swirl it around and wake those fuckers up.
Yep.
When I say and then you're going to take that, you're going to pitch it into the wort that has moved over into the fermenter. So that way you can let them do what they do and create beer, which is by consuming all of the sugars that are inside that delicious wort, and then pooping out CO2 and alcohol.
And that's why we love yeast so much, because that's what makes the magic happen, and that's why God is good, and that's why it is. The one thing that I'm still kind of confused about is, do you have to buy your yeast, or are there any breweries who are just using natural yeast?
There's a lot of, like, if you want to think about old world breweries versus new world, all the old worlds, like the Belgian breweries, almost all of them are using just open fermentation. Natural yeast.
In like a barn or in their facility.
The yeast that is just alive, that is there, is what's actually creating the God is good.
It's amazing, man.
Like, you could also go to Cooperstown, and if you go to a brewery, Omegang, you can see that they have the open vessels. Allagash and
Omegang is only like 2 or 2.5 hours away.
5.
Oh shit, 5. We went there last year. I slept most of the way.
Yeah.
It was a 2.5 hour drive for me.
Yeah, right. You went to sleep, woke up, had some beer, and passed out at 6.
Yes, that sounds awesome.
Belgium comes to Cooperstown.
So those guys are actually using like live yeast. They're not putting it in their beer. They're just leaving the beer out in a space where the yeast
comes on in and does its thing.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
Well, so there's the other thing I want to talk about with yeast. There's sort of a basic concept of like we've got the original stuff down. We've got the top and the bottom fermenting portion of it.
Yep.
But there's Saccharomyces is the name of the yeast that's going to eat the sugar.
Yep.
And that is going to be both in lager and in ale yeast.
Okay.
So that's where almost all of these beers were used using Saccharomyces.
Yep.
Now, there's another type of yeast that I think a lot of beer geeks also like to say, yo, dude, I only like wild beers that got Brett in them.
Brett,
bro.
Brett is such a bro name anyway.
Well, so an example of a Brett beer would be Sanctification from Russian River, which this beer is actually made with, I believe, 100% Brettanomyces, or Brett. And that's it's a wild yeast, and it's actually a yeast that's going to spoil the beer. Its job in this world is to spoil things. But like all good artists, you find what other people think are bad, and you turn it into something beautiful.
You need to control the yeast.
You got to control the wildness, man, as much as you can.
So the difference between the Saccharomyces and the Brettanomyces is that one is controllable and one is just wild.
One is specifically to eat the sugars to create those byproducts that are CO2 and oxygen, and the other one is to spoil it. It'll also create the same byproduct.
Can we try some?
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do Sanctification.
And you got this straight from the brewery,
straight from the source,
Russian River.
Yeah, we were out on vacation last week in stayed in, where did I stay? Larkspur, and then went up to Santa Rosa to visit my buddy and get a bunch of beer.
Let's get the neighbors. Any neighbors want some of this?
Yeah, this is
one to share with the neighbors if you guys want to sidecar it.
Yeah.
Hogboy finally came. Thank you for coming, Hogboy. We've got big plans for the future, my friend.
There we go. What's up, Hogboy?
Thank you.
Why do they call you Hogboy?
It's his
hogs.
Because you raise hogs.
Yeah.
That
makes
makes
sense.
Man.
And you're gonna be on the show soon, by the way.
It's a sour.
It's a sour.
That's delicious.
Yeah. Here, anybody else want a little bit of this?
Absolutely.
Sam's also
All right.
from Stone Barns.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for coming, guys. We're gonna get you on the show as guests.
Here we go,
Meet the
Doug.
Neighbors really soon, and we're gonna also.
Anybody
host
else?
a lot of
Anybody
neighbors
else?
Out here. Anybody else, Matt?
Okay.
You good?
No, we're good. Okay. So now let's taste an example of. I know why you came over. So you can smell it, that it's going to have a different smell. You can smell the hops that are in it and the construction of the beer, but there's a smell of, like, how would you describe it?
It's a sour.
Tart?
And it's tart. It kind of like makes you want to pucker your lips and pucker your tongue.
Yep.
And then it just rolls off to the back of your throat. It's delicious.
It's a lot like wine.
So this
this particular one especially has got this. It's a sour blonde ale.
I hate to say it, but I think all sours remind me of yogurt in a good way. I like yogurt. I appreciate
wrong with
yogurt.
that.
This is like a very tarty kind of back of your throat.
Well, but so you know, yogurt's using yeast as well. So if you're depending on the yeast that you're using for your yogurt, it's possible. I know that a lot of breweries are using yeast that's been cultured from yogurt, and they're making all sorts of crazy beers.
That's amazing.
So they're souring IPAs, but it's because it's with lacto. It tastes different.
So
we're not talking about that much today, because that's not
the
yeast.
Brettanomyces in that.
Yep.
How do they control it? They put it in and they just let it do its thing.
This is bottle conditioned, so it re-ferments inside the bottle. That's why whenever you see something that's corked and caged, it means that it's under pressure because it's going through secondary fermentation inside the bottle, and that can get very volatile. And if you just have a regular cap on it, it could go boop. And that's why they're also thicker glass. So if you ever see, wow, that's a really thick glass. Well, that's probably because it's a bottle-conditioned beer, and there's a lot of pressure being built up because of all that yeast in there is going.
Yes, I love it. We love it. And is there anything we should do with the corked ones? Are the corked ones more for like keeping for a while?
You can age these. This consecration actually I got a couple years ago, and I drank the fresh one, and by accident. I was going to do a side-by-side, and this is from 2016.
Yep.
But this beer is going to be aged 4 months at the brewery anyway. This particular one is aged in Cabernet Sauvignon barrels from Sonoma Valley in the Russian River, and then they add currants.
Because the Pliny the Elder...
The currants would be an adjunct ingredient. The currant has sugar, because it's a fruit.
It is,
but it's not a cereal. It's not a malted barley.
It's not a bad adjunct.
Right.
Speaking of adjuncts,
now.
So I was just wanted to make the contrast between Pliny the Elder, because Pliny you have to drink immediately. You can't drink it soon enough.
Correct. I mean, in fact, this is too long to be in the bottle. It's 3 weeks. It's 3 weeks old. Not even.
Yeah.
But
it's the lambs.
But you have to make sure.
The lambs of beer.
You got to make sure that every IPA should always be consumed as soon as possible. Where's my freaking glass? There we go.
Sean, the other distinction I want to make is what's the difference between the yeast that macro breweries use and the yeast that like small craft breweries
Not much.
use?
I mean,
Hold on.
it's style specific. So different styles of beer are going to require you to use a different yeast. But the bigger breweries are probably all using a very similar type of yeast, since the beer is the same style. They're like a light American macro lager pilsner.
Yeah.
It's going to use the same type of yeast.
Awesome, dude.
Whatever eats rice and corn the best.
Yes.
You know?
Whatever yeast is good for the rice and the corn.
So now we open up Pliny the Elder. This is one of my favorite beers. This is the flagship beer of Russian River, and it's an 8% IPA. And this is a top fermenting yeast.
Guys, come back for the Pliny.
Yeah,
there's not much of it.
Yeah, I only have one bottle, and then maybe if you're lucky,
until the Pliny party.
we're gonna have a Pliny party where we're gonna bring in another 36.
Yeah.
So this is an 8%
communion.
West Coast IPA.
Thank you.
May God be
We
good.
need to get to a paper cap.
God is good.
Body of Christ.
Yeah, thank you, Brad.
Good. Holy Communion.
It's Good Friday
Mike
tomorrow,
lost his
by
glass,
the
just
way.
poured his
Darling, more lard.
Mike lost his glass.
Okay.
Poured in his mouth.
Hold on. You have some? Here, take the rest.
You got the rest, neighbor Mike.
There you go.
Hey, neighbor Mike. It's good to see you, by the
see ya.
way. Where have you
You've been a little
been?
bit quiet back there.
I've been working on the fire,
Yeah,
Good.
Good.
and we're talking about future Fencebar projects.
We've got
out here.
big projects.
Cooking
dude.
projects.
But
Big projects.
well, let's finish up beer brains because I think we're almost
Beer
done.
brains,
Beer
beer
brains.
brains,
I was
beer
waiting for that the whole
brains.
time, man. I miss it. I miss hearing him say that. It makes me happy. It makes me giggle. I love. I was a little tool boys.
So, is there anything else we're covering in Beer Brains?
Beer brains? No, man. I think that's it. I think I'm gonna stop talking about yeast.
I think we're done with
I
yeast.
think I'm done with yeast for a while, but there's so much more that you can read about it. And the other thing, the one fun fact about yeast is that it's a member of the fungi kingdom, and there's 1,500 known varieties of yeast, and that accounts for 1% of the entire population of that kingdom.
That's awesome. So yeast needs to step its game up and represent a
1%.
little bit more.
There's a lot of fungus out there.
Yeah, 1%er.
All right.
Awesome, dude. That was a great Beer Brains.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
You know what I'm looking forward to?
Fence Live!
Fence
Are we going back to time?
Let's go back in time.
Back in time. Let's go.
Fence life!
Fence life!
And it's light again.
Thank God, man. Wait, I like how we do that. We go
In and out of time.
That's right. So what are we doing here, man? We're here back at a fire pit. However, this is a new fire pit.
This is a new fire
This
pit.
is like, it's still got that new fire pit smell, minus the fire smell.
Not yet.
Huh? Because we're going to bust out a fire
Are we
today.
lighting the fire?
We're going to do one of two things. We're either going to open this fucking can of mint, or we're going to start a fire.
Do it.
The mint,
Mint.
the mint, please.
Open
The
it.
fire.
Mint. Let's light the fire.
All
Let's light
right,
the fire.
all
Let's
right,
light the
all
fire.
right. Sorry, Amy.
Let's light the fire.
Okay, cool.
It's been this is the 4th episode, and
You've been teasing us.
we haven't lit the fire. It's all foreplay. It's all been foreplay. It's all getting ready
I'm
until
ready
the
to
fire.
shoot my
now
fire
it's time
load.
to light the fire. So we've got our fire starter,
Yep.
which we said was
Cardboard egg carton.
yep.
Then you use lint. Oh, wait.
Oh, it's the Sean McCain lint,
I got some.
the belly button lint.
There you go.
Oh, thanks for that. A little extra
problem.
Sean McCain belly button
that
lint,
smells
but
good.
dryer lint if you don't have the resources.
Or you're not hairy like me and have a big old.
Or you're not
belly
hairy.
button. Or if you have an Audi.
And wax to get it all going, right?
Yeah.
And then last week we talked about the actual fire pit, making sure you've got the rocks around to control your fire. You don't want the
tell
thing
you,
falling over
you
and
did
getting
a-
on your
You did a
toes.
great job.
Thanks, man.
You did a great. What is the radius of this?
We're gonna have to measure it.
Okay, we'll measure that. We'll
Yeah,
get back to
we
you.
eyed it.
4.3 feet.
Exactly,
Just like we planned.
says Mike. So today we're gonna finally light it.
Let's do it.
And the first thing we need to do is gather the kindling. And
Kindling.
usually what I start with are 3 sizes of kindling. So you've got your little twigs. These could be your pine needles, anything that are gonna light up really quick. Then you've got something a little bit bigger.
Yep.
And really what you're doing, Sean, is you're burning wood.
Feed the meat.
You're feeding the fire.
Right.
The wood is the fuel
That's right.
that
Give me food, give me
feeds the
fire.
fire so that you can burn more fuel.
More fire.
So you start little, you get
Yeah.
that. This is your first actual fuel.
Got it.
Once this runs out, you better make sure your smallest kindling is lit.
Ready to go. I like
So
you
it
have like a mise en place of fucking kindling here. Carl.
It's a whole
pretty
buffet.
dope.
So you have to basically make sure you're not suffocating the fire.
Yep.
Start small.
And we're gonna create a hashtag fire, right?
It's all about the hashtag. So the hashtag is really the easiest way to create coals.
And the coals are what cook your fire.
Yep. And they
cook
also
your wood. Cook your wood.
Cook your wood, and also eventually we'll be cooking our sausages that we're going to be eating.
We will be cooking that from
we have
these as
Campbell's
well.
meat sausages. We got some La Placita sausages.
Campbell Meats is in the house. I think by now we would have probably had the Meet the Neighbors, but
you already know him, man.
we had such a great time with Campbell Meats. He was
best.
awesome, wasn't
the
he?
best guest yet.
All right, so here we go. And then it starts off basically hashtagging. And this is really a balance game. You want to create
Want me to
these.
help?
Yeah, please stack them. Just start stacking them.
Start with the little guys.
Start with the little guys.
I like how you say kindling.
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 Yeah.
Kindling.
And you know, you're gonna see as the fire kind of takes hold on the right here.
Yeah.
You want to stack a little bit more over here, and you want to push it this way a little bit. You know, you're gonna get better at this, but you're almost controlling where your fire is going. That's an advanced pro tip. We're not there yet.
I see. This is too big for me right now.
That's too big right now. So
I'd
let's
smother
keep
it if I put it
stacking
in
the
there.
little
Remember,
ones.
you gotta use the small kindling first.
The small kindling.
Before you use a big old brick
And your
suffocate it.
chimney, your opening here acts as a chimney so that the air is getting sucked in through the sides and coming right out the top. And what we can do here is just stack this.
Okay.
Sean, you want to grab a few big logs, and basically we're just going to start putting them around. And this is the fuel that is going to, this is the wood and the kindling that's going to fuel your larger hashtags.
And we call these sixtels when we're going into the woodshed. Anything that's long and skinny that's going to be good to start off the party is a sixtel. And then we have bigger ones when the party's raging that we just call half barrels because we know it's going all night.
All night, baby. And this fire will be going all night. And the best part is, if you get a good base, you don't have to worry about it for a while. This thing will just go. We could actually start the show, or I mean, go back to the fence bar. But that was Fence Life. Tune in on Instagram to see what this thing looks like once it's actually raging.
Fire. This is the
first fire in the pit.
Dude.
Fence Life. Let's go. Fence Life.
All right, back to the dark.
Might be my favorite Fence Life of all time.
Dude, we finally lit the fire. Finally, the kindling hashtag fire.
Awesome, man.
Kindling and yeast.
I can already feel the warmth coming up from it. Those coals are going to be cooking them sausages.
Sausages, man. I'm ready for that.
I am so ready for a sausage.
So, what time is it?
It's
time for a
beer report. Beer report.
Beer
Mikey,
report.
what time is it?
What time is it?
Beer report.
Beer report. Beer report.
All right.
Yeah, take that.
So smart.
Beer report
Slacking
is
tonight.
basically when we try to figure out what's going on in the Hudson Valley.
Primarily the Hudson Valley.
Westchester. What's happening?
What's happening? Well, I'll tell you. We have a special guest.
We have a couple special guests.
That's happening this episode. We're really happy to have Doug from the Tool Nuts.
Yeah,
Who not only can you get all of your fine tool nuts and mayo peck,
but you
can also have a beer with Doug, and he knows a little thing about getting beer.
Come on in, Doug.
Come on, Doug. Bring it in.
Doug.
Bring it in. Did you
So-
bring your cup though? Because I gotta give you beer. Make sure you get something for beer.
Get your beer.
Because we're gonna open up a little. Oh, I think it's time for some Treehouse.
Let's open that up.
This is from Chris Kovac, by the way, from Bridgeview
Thanks.
Tavern. Who gave this
Chris.
to us. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Bridgeview Tavern.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
Let's get you going.
That'll sharpen his butt.
So, beer report, we talk about can releases, we talk about things happening at
Beer
restaurants,
dinners.
beer dinners, all the happenings
Special-
in Westchester.
special things.
Because it's Easter, we're going to do the next couple weeks.
There's
and
really
just-
not much going on
not much going on
because
this
of
week.
Easter and Passover happening.
Yep.
Apparently not a time to throw raging parties
But
everywhere.
there is a can release, at Hudson Valley
Yes,
Brewing.
Hudson Valley
Tell
Brewing.
us about it, Doug.
Couple, yeah. So Hudson Valley's having a can
Hey,
release
quiet down,
Saturday.
please. Dudes,
And let's
we
see
want a
here.
fence bar.
We'll get
We can't fence bar now. We
the
gotta do
names
this.
right here.
Yeah, what is it?
So they got two so far. They got Bloom,
Bloom.
Plumage,
Plumage.
right? They're sour double IPAs.
Okay.
They're also doing a bottle too now. So
Cool.
they got three.
Cool.
Going on Hudson
Now,
Valley
what
and
time are
Beacon.
you going to be getting
Well,
to Beacon for this?
But
Okay.
hold on a second. If our neighbors want to go to the can release, what do they actually have to do? Because the can release happens at a certain time, but you have to get there a few hours before.
Like
and
a
there's
few hours. Like, you got to get there like days before.
All right, so
So-
let's talk about what you need to do to get Hudson Valley Brewing can release for this weekend.
It depends because if there's other releases,
Yep.
then
There
might
won't
not
be a
have to
lot
get
of
there-
people there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You don't have to get there as early. But there's no other half release this weekend, so
So
it's
people
gonna
are
be
leaving
more
Brooklyn
crowded.
to go back up.
So I'm hearing like probably maybe midnight, 1-ish.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow, midnight,
some people,
1-ish for-
some people.
Yeah.
What time
You
do
heard
they
that right,
start
people.
giving out the bracelets?
8 o'clock,
A.M.
right? I'm pretty sure it's 8
8
o'clock
a.m.
this week.
So you can
So you got to get out there at midnight before it's like a Black Friday deal.
It's got to be like
You
a
gotta
bottle
get out
share.
there.
It's
Yeah.
got to be a lot of fun, though.
We're
Get-
gonna do that one day, right?
No,
Pitch a tent.
absolutely not.
It'll be awesome.
That's
I'd love
no.
to do it once.
I'll do it once. I'll do
Have you
anything
ever
once.
have you ever done it before?
Fuck no.
No.
It's the
Why?
experience.
Because it's not cool.
No,
to
because I work
you?
for the breweries that they're lining up to go
Because
into.
you're too cool. You're just gonna get them
Way
like,
too
without
cool.
having to stand in line.
Way too
Fuck
cool.
this guy.
I'm going to the back door while y'all are, and I'm gonna go smoke and joint with the brewer.
That's
Okay, all right. Each one's different, you know. It's an experience, though. You know, I
Yeah.
just started
Yeah.
going in the last, I don't know, couple months. Actually, you know.
What do you do while you're hanging out there?
You bring
talk-
chairs.
You bring beers?
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's usually most can releases. There's a can share table.
A can share. I love that.
So you bring a couple cans.
All right, now you're talking. Now you're talking me into it.
It's pretty cool because people come from out of state.
Yep, and
you
they're
know, so
bringing beers from their neighborhoods.
Exactly.
It's not like you're walking up with the Bud Light lime to wait in line for the bottle share.
Someone
there.
might throw a silver bullet on there as a joke every once in a while.
Yeah.
You know, it eventually does get open.
Oh, I'm in.
You know, you got to hydrate in between. It's like water. So
That's it. That's
you know,
it.
you have it in between. But yeah, it's a cool experience, definitely. You know, you go
Love it.
hang out. You get there early, get your band.
Then you enjoy the day in Beacon. You go to the
hang
Dia.
out,
You go to one of the great bars that are
Well,
around there.
That's just one of them, right? So you can go get your band, then you can go walk around the city and explore. You know,
That's awesome.
great little city. It's definitely getting fixed up and
We need to go
it's
up
a
there,
lot
man.
nicer
We
than it
gotta
was
go up
years
there.
ago.
Yeah. We haven't been exploring.
we
many
don't go to Dutchess that much. You know,
Yeah.
we just love Westchester
You
so
gotta,
much.
you gotta, come,
break
it.
you gotta
expand.
come north. You gotta come north.
Hudson Valley
okay?
Brewing is gonna get us up there,
into
man.
the sticks.
Yeah.
You know, into the sticks. You know,
Yeah.
but there's other ones too going on this weekend.
Oh,
So-
what else
What
is
do you
going
got?
on?
What do you
So,
got,
well-
man? We need to figure out what's
I
going
know.
on.
Today you had Sloop.
Oh, Sloop.
Okay, so Sloop.
So today's Thursday.
Today's
We're not
Thursday.
going to release this until Friday, so you missed
You missed
it.
it. Oh my God, it was
And
amazing.
plan the
We were all
next one.
there. You could have been there too.
Sold out in 4 hours. So, very exciting things going on there. One of my favorite.
Did you get any?
breweries. I'll get some tonight. My buddy got some. So.
All right.
Nice.
So,
The backup
you
plan.
I
gotta
don't know if I'll get
buddy.
it tonight, but maybe I'll see him tomorrow, depending on what time we finish here. But
Okay.
Nice.
one of my favorite breweries. Definitely moving to Fishkill.
Yeah.
Big
Yeah,
news.
East
new,
Fishkill.
new
Big news
facility.
in Fishkill.
What's the old?
new
What was that?
facility.
The
Elizaville. Elizaville. Yes, the old IBM.
Old
Yep,
IBM
the,
complex. I
the
saw it,
Hyde
man.
Park.
It's huge.
Hyde Park. I think 28,000 square feet.
And they took
Massive.
over that for a brewery.
Yes.
We're gonna have those guys on too. We're gonna have
IBM's
those-
out.
Yeah.
Sloop's in.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I love it.
So yeah, that's today. That was the juice bomb. Like
Oh.
DDH.
Okay.
So double dry hop was today. So
Down to hop.
Dude, Doug, you're the
double
man.
dry hop. Double
Thank
dry
What,
hop.
you.
but
Yeah.
what else is going on?
Oh,
There wasn't there?
there's
There was
another
another
one?
wasn't there?
All right, so Saturday not only is Hudson Valley, but it's
Yeah.
also Equilibrium.
Jeez.
Okay,
That's
so
a double whammy.
and
What time do they do their release?
they're luckily it's a half hour before the Hudson Valley, so 11:30.
So you can get both.
So I actually am going to be going to both.
Wow.
So how do you have to wait in
Okay.
line for that one? How do you
So
do that?
You
that
get
one
baloney. That's
actually-
why you get married.
So
You
well,
put your wife in the other line.
well, for this weekend,
Pro tip.
I'm not
Pro tip.
going
Pro
like
tip.
I normally go with my buddy Billy, who got me into trading
Thanks,
and
Billy.
going
Thanks,
to.
Billy.
Shout out to Billy and
Billy.
magnets and other stuff, which we'll do in the future.
Dude, well,
Magnets.
we're going to bring you on. You're dominating this episode, which is
Yeah,
awesome.
exactly.
But we're going to bring you on
on.
as Meet the Neighbor, and we're going to talk about Tool Nut, and we're going to talk about can releases.
Sell tools, cans, beers.
Sell tools
you know.
and drink beers.
That's right. That's
Do
right.
not operate
And you like-
the
and you-
tools
and you
while
like
you're
metal
drinking
music,
the
right?
beers.
Metal.
Come on.
Metal music.
Are you
Who's
going to
better than
remix?
this guy?
in a metal band? Maybe Nothing Remains will play.
Oh,
give him a
guitar.
plug. Give him a
come
quick
on.
plug.
Yeah,
Mike,
absolutely.
Mike and Amy.
Hey, give him a
Right?
proper plug. What's it called?
Just played the chance. We opened for The Artist Murder.
What's it called?
Nothing Remains.
Nothing
So,
remains.
Instagram. Nothing Remains. NY.
Hey,
Gotta
can
put
you
the NY on
remix
it.
our? Can you remix
Yeah.
our?
Take a
theme?
stab at our theme.
We can. Yeah, we could probably do
Remix.
something.
Yeah,
We'll
you've
work
heard our
something
theme,
out.
right?
Collab.
Yeah. Maybe the house band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yes.
Look at the
Oh,
smoke.
Definitely.
Yeah. Right.
You're in.
Yeah. We don't have many other options at this point.
But I think you're safe.
Matt,
I think
you
you're
need to
safe.
come on here and tell us about what's happening at Beer Noggin.
Oh!
Yep, Beer Noggin
Yes.
next weekend. You can stay on this side.
Yeah, stay right here. Stay right here.
Are we in? Are we good?
You're in. You're in.
Your light.
You're in.
Okay.
You're good.
Everybody's in
What's
shot.
happening at
You're
Beer Noggin?
good.
A week from
today.
Yep.
Today's Friday.
Today
Friday.
is Friday.
At Beer Nog in Bronxville. We're gonna go over there. We're gonna sling chicken parm sandwiches, and they're going to sell you Tired Hands beer.
Tired Hands.
And,
I got Tired Hands. Man. Yeah,
I'm
that's
starving.
great, dude.
When does that happen?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
A week from
And
today.
until we sell out.
A week from today or tomorrow?
A week from Friday, which is
Friday.
Today's Friday.
We've been doing so much time travel, man. Like I don't
Can
know
you
what
imagine
day
it?
it is.
The
It's so confusing.
I don't know
The
what.
sixth.
I don't know where my beer is. Actually, we should open up another beer, shouldn't we?
Yeah, and while you guys are here,
We're gonna rate some beers,
we
and I think you guys
need to rank the beers.
Okay.
we should open a Focal Banger.
Yep.
Right? Don't you think we have one more? It's either Heady or Focal.
Which
is this an ice one? This is definitely an ice one.
They're both are going to be ice.
You can
ones.
feel it. You can feel the pressure in the
Try
can.
this sour and just compare it to the other
Sure.
sours? or
Yes,
no?
absolutely.
Yeah. This is a Vermont sour by Stone Corral.
Okay.
Bramble.
Bramble Blackberry Sour.
Can you smell it?
6% ABV.
The yeast is wild!
Ripe blackberries lend their delicate sweet toughness and lovely hue to this delicious, naturally soured brew.
All right.
In that voice, it's like Anthony sounds better.
Look at the color of that.
Daddy.
Look at the color of that. Somebody. Blackberry sour. So this would be using, not necessarily Britannomyces, you could also be using a different type of souring agent.
It's a little flat,
But we'll talk about that on future episodes.
Yeah. It's a little flat, but I think you can see some of the
So we'll talk
potential
again about
in
the
it.
handling and storage of the beer.
By the way,
The
if you ever feel
transportation
a
of the
can,
beer.
and it's got so much pressure in it, it feels like it's about to burst.
It's too hot.
It's probably been too cold.
Really? No, I think less pressure.
Froze.
All the other ones felt like it had very little pressure in it.
Oh.
I thought that was what, because I thought the carbonation just kind of all died down and it got flat. Whatever. If your beer doesn't feel right, it's not going to taste right. It's not going to taste right. Thanks. But anyway, thank you so much, guys, for coming. Matt, thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Doug, thank you for coming. We're going to get you on a future episode, and we're going to talk about tools and hardware
All right.
stores and things like that. But thank you to our sponsors,
Thank you for
Campbell.
this.
Thank you for our sponsor
Can I buy
and
that?
for our
Can I
hats.
do the meat?
Yes, you may.
Tool
You can buy it,
nuts?
but it's free here, so why would you?
Oh, you get that
I
bar
like
knife?
all the, every week. Every you keep coming.
I love it. I love it. Dude, this was an amazing episode.
Had a good time. Did you have a good time?
Great time.
Let's
Beer
rank 'em.
Brains was awesome. Let's rank
We
them.
gotta rank them.
Let's do it.
So I think.
Sanctification has to be up there just because it was delicious.
Where's the Pliny? Hey, Mike.
The Pliny. Who's got that bottle, Mike?
Mike, I need the Pliny bottle.
Mike disappeared.
This is very early, by
You'll
the
never
way,
get that.
so, like,
Oh
Yeah. You know, I still think
the wrench is always up there.
It's gonna be an honorable mention.
Yeah, the wrench is always up
Julius
there.
was okay.
Julius was good. Pliny.
I think that was my favorite.
Yeah.
How many tears are those five?
Well, there's three.
It's a tie
And these are honorable mention. Yep. Anything else? I kind of feel like we haven't opened up some
The
other.
mint. The mint is still here. Amy, you want to open the mint?
Yeah,
Yes, let's open it. Come on.
We're not gonna open it.
We got her
Tune
again
in
to episode 5.
We're gonna open
We're
the
gonna open the
mint.
mint.
Episode
And
5.
we're gonna
You say that every episode.
We're gonna finally do it, Amy. It's gonna be an anniversary present.
That's
for
right.
you. Fifth
All right.
anniversary.
So let's open up one of these anyway.
So is that our ranking right now? Are we
I think
closing
so.
out with this ranking?
I think we're gonna go with the Pliny.
Yep.
And if you guys are really good friends with us, maybe you'll be invited to the Pliny party.
There will be a Pliny party in 2
Can I be your
weeks.
friend?
Yes,
Yeah.
you are my friend.
You're
You're officially gonna be a member tonight. You're gonna get your Paul Pass. So once you get your Paul Pass, you get your picture taken right here.
And we're gonna roast the pig.
We're gonna
in a hole.
We might do the whole thing.
Neighbors?
Neighbors. You'll be neighbor.
We get
You're
official
neighbor
neighbor
Doug.
Doug.
And neighbor Doug.
You're actually like neighbor Tool Boy. You're gonna be neighbor Tool Boy.
I love it. Well, thanks so much, guys. This was awesome. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube.
Subscribe to YouTube, please. I think we have like
Yeah.
15 subscribers.
We
which
need
is
more
bullshit.
subscribers.
You're
Amy
watching
tells
it.
us to
16.
You should
I'll do it
subscribe
tomorrow.
for it.
Please. Thank you. Subscribers. Oh, what's that? Should we open that? Or what do you think?
No. Are we done here?
Yeah.
Because I feel like.
No. Are we done? Yeah, we're done. We're done.
Oh no, yeah, he's gonna say it.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Come stand right here.
So, do as the alchemist says.
Yeah, this is what we strive for.
Wait, let me see.
This is full.
In our personal
Serious.
Don't be a D-bag and recycle your can.
Amen.
Well,
good.